7 children. My oldest is 23 and she's a college student studying cybersecurity. And I have a 2-year-old son who is at home studying anything with wheels on it. In the middle, I have a 6-year-old son. I have daughters that are 8, 11, and 16-year-old twin daughters. We started homeschooling in 2006 when my oldest was 9 and the twins were 2. So we've had babies or little kids in the mix for the entire 14 years we've been homeschooling. I learned pretty quickly that schooling all year has been one of the best decisions we've made because little kids, they tend to thrive better with schedules and with structure, and given too much time, free time, they tend to get into trouble. And I found that after having a baby, usually everybody was really ready to get back to school 3 or 4 weeks later. And so that's what we would do, and I would keep the baby on me in a sling. And it's really helpful to keep diapering supplies nearby. That way, when baby needs a diaper change, your little students don't run off to the 4 corners of the earth. And once the baby's a little bit older and interested in the world, I like to initiate independent play. And so what that basically means is just providing the baby with toys to play with on her own. And one of the best investments I've made as a homeschool mom is one of those giant play yards with the plastic fence panels so that you can modify the size and the shape of the play yard. It's much better than a pack and play. And so I implement a shoebox system at our house, and I rotate the toys and I keep them in shoeboxes in the cupboard. So the baby has new toys to play with each day, not just the same old things that she's been playing with. And then when the baby's older, into toddlerhood, you don't have to use the play yard so much anymore. You can just be in a room together. And our schoolroom is set up in my boys' room where we keep all of our books and toys and games. And so there's plenty of stuff for the toddler to play with while we do school. And then when they get older and move on to preschool, I start a workbox system. And what that consists of is something like this. Just you can use a folder, or I like to use these drawers. And you just fill each box with a simple age-appropriate activity. And so the child comes to the box, and usually there's more. There's at least 6 or 9 or 12 boxes, depending on your child's interest. So the child comes and pulls out the activity and does it independently, and then puts it back in. And I like to use Post-its or some other kind of device for the child to take off and put in the box too, so that it serves as a visual reward for them that they've completed all that work. And sometimes I'll even put in a little reward in one of the boxes, like we frequently use an M&M graph chart. So I'll give the kid a handful of M&Ms, and then he'll sort them by color and then tell me how many there are, and then he gets something. And then if all else fails, I'm not ashamed to use the iPad with learning apps and educational TV shows. I can't tell you how much my children have learned from watching Wildcrafts. One of the most important things I think we do in our homeschool is that we stay together in one room, at least all the kids that are not in high school. I'd say 13 and under, we stay in one room together. And you'd be amazed at how much the little kids learn just through the trickling down of information. So I'll start with the younger ones, and we do our 3 R's together, and then we come together and do our history and our Bible and our literature and science. And then that brings me to independent work. Our schooling doesn't actually take that long because my children have their own independent work that they're responsible for. And like I said before, in infancy it starts with just playing independently, and then it moves to the work boxes, and then on to actual book work. And I expect my younger children to ask their older siblings for help. And so this is really good. It provides accountability for my younger children to ask for help so that they can finish their school sooner, and it reinforces concepts that my older children have learned. And that brings me to high school with littles. My goal for my children is that they become independent learners, not just learning a lot, but knowing how to learn, so that they're not daunted by the task of learning something new or learning more about something. And so this starts with play, like I said, and then it moves on to work boxes, and then on to more independent work, including chores and babysitting and personal hygiene, things like that. And so that ultimately by high school, they have almost complete independence. And then lastly, I guess that brings me to outsourcing. When you have a lot of kids, and especially if you have little kids, it becomes increasingly difficult to do everything on your own. And that's where the beauties of Heritage comes in play, with class days and academy and field trips and just the many resources that we have through Heritage, the connections, the wealth of knowledge amongst the families. In addition to that, there's college classes for high school students. Over the years, we've engaged with tutors for English. We've had writing coaches for our aspiring writers, and I often will outsource grading for lengthy essays or research papers. If I had one bit of advice for you, I would say it's to let the dishes pile up. Do the first things first. Eat breakfast and get to work on a full stomach so that nobody has any complaints about being hungry, and finish school together, and the Lord will provide ample time for you to work together as a family to tackle that sink full of dishes and that basket full of laundry. I hope this information has been helpful to you. If you have any questions, feel free to contact the school office, and also there's a wealth of information you can find online.